Welcome to this edition of the Wonderbury podcast.
I'm Brian,
I'm Dave.
and you can find us online at wonderbury.com.
I am D Wonderly on Twitter.
Or I'm Brian Keesbury, anywhere the internet can be found.
You can leave us a comment on our website, our Facebook, our Reddit, our list goes on.
Yeah.
All the links though are in the are on the website, and check.
Yep. Check it out.
How's your week, Brian?
Pretty decent.
Yeah.
I got my sports car out. I'm happy. Got to go fast. It's always good.
Well, that's good.
I think I only hit 130.
Nice.
So we'll see.
Yeah, this is
got a lot of summer left to go.
That's good. That's good. You think it'll be all right in the wintertime?
No.
So you'll need to find an alternate source of transportation for when winter rolls around, huh?
Yep.
At least it gives you a few months to look for something, to find something.
Yeah.
Did you ever get everything figured out with insurance and stuff over the accident, or?
Yeah, about that. So, do not get an insurance. And I will be switching to State Farm very soon.
Unfortunately, insurance is one of those things you get what you pay for sometimes.
See, I thought we had enough, but apparently not, because Michigan.
Yeah.
Literally, that's the only reason.
For people who don't know, Michigan is a no-fault state.
Yeah.
So you get in a car accident, regardless of whose fault it was, like in their case, they got rear-ended.
Yeah,
it's their insurance that's on the hook for it.
Yeah. It's nobody's fault.
And if you don't have the insurance enough coverage, then it doesn't cover anything.
Yeah. And there's apparently a big difference between complete comprehensive and full coverage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which we had complete comprehensive, which covers like $1,000 of anything.
And when you start calculating how much money you've paid them over the months to give you that $1,000.
Yeah. Now, if I would have had a finger cut off, instant $1 million. Yeah. Instantly $1 million payout. But the thousands of dollars of equipment that was in my trunk, not covered. So
that's harsh.
Sports car for sure now has complete full coverage. I was like, whatever the most expensive thing is, I was like, literally that came out of my mouth. It's like, whatever the most expensive thing is, if it will cover everything that could happen possibly ever for any reason, that's what I want. Yep. Like, you give me that. I thought I had that, but then you said I didn't when we wrecked and we needed it. And they were like, "Oh no, you don't have that thing that covers everything that you thought you had." Oh,
that's rough, man.
I thought the next step up was the like car replacement thing, and I was like, like just get what it's worth out of it. It'd be fine. Pretty good at buying ridiculous vehicles.
Yeah.
I mean, I only paid $1 for the Buick anyways. So.
Well, there you go. So you've made 1,000 times what you paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that doesn't cover everything that was in the back.
Yeah. The $1,500
which doesn't
laptop.
Even begin to. Yeah.
which I guess has gone down to 1,200 in the 5 years since I bought it. 4 years maybe.
Yeah, so laptops you can get a decent laptop for a pretty good price these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially replacing the one that you have, you can get a really, really decent one.
Yeah, I think I either want a ZenBook or a Surface tablet. Surface Pro. Is that the one that's like the clickety? Remember the commercial where it was like click, fold it up?
Yeah,
One?
so they're really good though. Yeah, and those are real nice. And once I'm in the market again to replace my Chromebook for a laptop, that's pretty much what I'm going to end up doing.
Nice.
But what is it this month with spending money?
Yeah, I don't know.
I've got to replace my roof.
Yeah, how's that going?
And the front axle in my car.
So is that not
So my roof is
covered under warranty,
kind of weird.
Though? Your axle?
I have. Say what?
Is your axle? What year is that Sorrento?
I think it's a 13. So the steel joint in the front passenger side apparently is cracked. So it needs to get replaced out at some point. And by the time that they end up for the labor and the part to replace it, is more expensive than the labors and parts to replace the entire axle. Because they have to tear the axle apart to get to it, apparently. So I'm getting a new axle for that. And then my house, the flat bit. So I have a kind of a square, an older square house. So it has your regular peaked roof. Well, then there's an add-on addition to it that runs along the side and across the back of the house. That includes downstairs master bedroom, my office in here, and behind me a sunroom. And that's flat roof. Well, it started leaking out over my back porch because that's also covered with it. It's a whole back porch. And it started leaking back there. And finding someone to do flat repairs and peak repairs once, the two of them, is hard enough. But we decided to, instead of keeping it flat, because when you repair a flat roof, it lasts, you might get 5-10 years if you're absolutely lucky.
Yeah.
Out of a flat roof before they start leaking again. So we found a company that's going to actually build a slight pitch to the flat roof, and then we're probably a few years away from having to replace the main roof anyway. It's not leaking, and it's not like the shingles aren't peeling up or curling yet, but they're starting to get that discoloration, mostly due to the fact that we don't have adequate ventilation in our attic. So we're having the ventilation put in. We're having a new roof put on, the pitch with a new roof, and yeah. It'll be nice, quite a chunk of change, but it'll be nice when it's done. You don't have to worry about it. The company we're going through, because they use the same manufacturer for all parts of the roof, they can warranty all parts of the roof at once, so you don't, these warranties that, well, the underlaying's not us, so it's probably their fault if it leaks, blah, blah, blah. That's all been kind of eliminated. It's a 50-year warranty on a roof.
50-year?
50. They're giving us a 50-year parts and labor warranty on our roof. Huh. It's a company. They're authorized through a company called GAF or whatever. Anyway, it's going to cost us a pretty penny, but that's mostly due to the fact that we're building, kind of adding a pitch to the roof and doing all that other stuff. It's going to be about $25,000, I think, in total. Which for just the peak would be about $11,000. So by itself, I think is what I was getting average quoted around $10,000 for that with a quick repair job on the flat. To replace the flat was going to be about $5,000 plus the $7,000 for the peak. So that would be, you're looking at $12,000 for that. But then just getting the pitch put on the flat point was going to be right around $16,000. So, I'm getting the main roof for $8 at that point. Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
But hey, it's got to get done. It's got to get done. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Hopefully the
And we
rest.
had looked at, because we had talked for a long time about doing the whole Tesla solar roof,
Yeah.
and we kind of want to do that, but we knew that it was going to be a little bit longer before we were going to be able to afford to do that. But
Well,
you're
yeah,
not
and
here.
if the bulk of your house holds out for a while yet, that I imagine the pricing on that's still going to keep dropping as they start cranking up the gigafactory.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like, so you go through the Tesla has uh they have a little thing where you can go through and you can kind of input in your stuff, like your address, and it will do the top down scan of your home utilizing that what was that Google Maps thing that they did for a while,
Yeah.
where you could type in your address and it would tell you, based upon location and everything else, how much of your roof is affected by the sun.
Yep.
And so when we did that, it was going to be kind of on the expensive side for us whenever it was available to come out. So we kind of decided against going that way because it was going to be about, I think we figured it would be about $70,000 once to get it installed, once it's available in Indiana. I think 25,000 is a little bit better than 70,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little more on the expensive side.
Oh yeah, and it might change after a few years. So hopefully the main part of your house will hold out long enough for that to happen.
Yeah.
And then it'd be reasonable at that point. That'd be interesting. I keep looking at that. My parents were there at. They're in a nice area. They've got a wide open roof that has direct sunlight the whole day. I was trying to talk my dad into doing that, but they're not available on the Tesla website where they're at. So it's hard to tell what it would cost and how much that would be.
Yeah,
But
they estimate. It looks like they estimate about $70,000, but then they start going through the deductions and what you can get deductions and all this stuff, and you got to be very careful when looking at Tesla's anything, because it'll tell you their estimated value versus the actual value,
yeah,
and they kind of they take liberties and play with the numbers a little bit, which I get what they're doing and I get why they do it. It's just kind of frustrating at times that they actually do it that way.
well, yeah, and it's part of it's because it's trying to estimate, the size of the roof of your house from a satellite image and not actually being there to measure it to you.
Well, they estimate a little high for that reason alone, because they said that the average cost of a regular roof would be about $13,000, which is on the high end of my ballpark of where I got quoted,
Yeah,
but not too bad. So, it could be a lot worse than that. So they got that estimation pretty close.
yeah,
But what I'm talking about, let me go back to this thing real quick. Um, but the stuff they kind of uh are talking about with this is so that you'll go, okay, where was um where was it? They just had it listed here a second ago.
What are you looking for?
Oh, here we go. So what they do is they go into the cost of a power wall. So it says that your solar roof can generate $50,000 of energy over 30 years.
Yeah.
So the value of energy $50,400 based on the current electric bill of $133 a month, and a roof square footage of 2603. So it's $70,000 for the cost of the roof, $7,000 for the cost of a Powerwall battery, which we'll talk about in a little bit more in depth in a minute, plus $18,500 in tax credits. So what they'll tell you is that your roof will cost you a net cost of $7,100 over the next 30 years. Traditional roof starts at about $13,000. So what they're saying is that because of the value of the energy you're getting, and you start subtracting down the cost of your roof, the cost of the battery, and assuming that you get the $18,500 tax credit for the whole thing, that for a 30-year roof, the Tesla roof will be half the cost of a traditional roof.
Yeah.
Over the span of 30 years.
Yeah, and do you expect a normal roof to last 30 years though too? I know you said your
so your typical
last.
roof, while mine has a warranty for longer, your typical roof will last between 20 and 40 years, depending on climate, depending on lots of factors.
Yeah.
But right around 30 years. 30 years is about the average time for a roof replacement. So that 30-year mark is a good. It's a good mark way, but for them to claim that it'll cost you $7,100, that's okay over time, yes, but
yeah,
when they're telling you, yeah, okay, it's going to cost you $77,000 or $76,000 to install your roof.
So if you had a 30-year loan on it, then that would be pretty realistic.
There you
go. That's what they should come up with then to go along with that, is a 30-year loan on the roof. That way it's just a real slow payback. That way you feel the benefits at the same time as you're paying on. It wouldn't be so harsh. I know that's not a realistic return on investment for a roof like that, but
so they do give, if you do the finance and you have the right financing, if you have the right credit, all that stuff, they will give you a 30-year loan at 4.5% at $248 a month.
So that's, and you said your
so you figure that they're averaging, okay, so if that's giving you $140 a month. Oh, okay. So what they're saying then is okay, so then you take out the amount of money you're saving in your current electric bill, so they'll give you about $140 a month. So that means you'll be paying $108 a month over the 30-year loan.
Yeah. But then, yeah, and you wouldn't be paying on your electric bill at that point, so that's your $133 out of that. Which that doesn't seem so bad.
That means you'll still be paying $108 a month.
More,
so
yeah.
You've got a monthly savings of what, 25? No. Yeah, $25.
Too bad.
One day it will actually be worth doing and going through with.
That's what I figured, and I think that's going to rely heavily on the gigafactories too. Like when those are cranked up,
once you get the gigafactories in and they get the cost of manufacturing and the cost of solar is plummeting, because this is a lot cheaper than what it would have been 5, 10, even 5 years ago. It's just so much cheaper.
Yeah.
Now than what it used to be. But it's still a little too expensive for your middle class family to actually afford.
Yeah. I imagine that because we have solar roadways. I imagine that would help with that too, because that has just been proven to be a very expensive ordeal trying to get that set up. But it's such a
that's been
brilliant idea.
Great idea, just insanely expensive.
Yeah. Well, and I was, and looking at the picture of the article that we had brought up, they have to hand wire all those panels together too. I wasn't thinking about that.
So all the panels are hand wired together.
Yep.
Nothing saying how the winters in the Midwest completely destroy and damage roadways anyway, no matter what they're made of.
Well, the way the solar roadways was they had heating elements in them to help with that, and then also
well, that's great. But when you get dumped with 6 feet of snow, or 4 feet of snow, or even 2 feet of snow, heating elements is not going to. All that's going to do is just give you a nice slush barrier.
Yeah, but there's also they had drainage channels and and I'm talking about the specific one, the solar roadways. They had drainage and they had plumbing built into them to feed that out of the roads because of that.
Yeah, that was true. That was that Kickstarter couple, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys. That looked really cool.
Yeah, that was so brilliant, and it was all they were filled with LEDs that were all modular too, so they could, reroute things.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Bless you.
Yeah, excuse me. Sorry about that.
But yeah, it seems like still the bulk of the price of that has to be the solar panels that are going in it, rather than anything else. And we were talking about autonomous cars and how there could still be issues of like a kid playing in the road around a corner and not having a way for the car to sense that. But like the solar roads had that sort of like pressure sensing. There were sensors built into them as well, so they could detect that, and that could help with that. So,
definitely.
Things start to come together.
The technology itself is there, and it's great. The problem is the cost.
Yeah. So, come on, Ted. What? I wonder if Elon Musk would be into buying up the solar roadways and pushing that.
He might at some point. I think he's got his hands full with a lot of stuff right now. Yeah, Speaking of, this weekend is yet another launch, which will be 3 launches in 9 days for SpaceX.
Yeah. I read that and I officially hit the point where I was like, meh, good job. like cool. Next thing. Next big thing.
Like, him now landing reused boosters is just kind of like a okay.
Like literally every other day. It's like, yeah, okay. What's next, bro?
Yeah. But I think that he believes that solar is the way to go, and I think he's just trying to right now, before he bites off more, because he just bought that whole solar city, which is where the roofs are coming from.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to drive now the cost of solar down.
Yep.
And figure out how to do that the best way possible.
That's what the Gigafactory is.
Yeah, and I think that doing all the manufacturing himself with the giant gigafactories that he's starting to want to put together, that's going to help a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Especially if we start running tariffs and everything else of anything coming out of China. You're going to see a lot more domestic manufacturing of that stuff. It's going to be a lot more expensive for a while, but I think you're going to see a lot more domestic manufacturing.
Yeah. Probably mostly by Tesla. Because once, I mean, that the way the factory was designed was it used Henry Ford's old model of bring in raw materials, and at the other end of the factory, out comes your finished product.
Yep.
And that gets really hard to beat. And I think we discussed.
Well, and that's honestly what a lot of people don't realize. That's honestly why a lot of this stuff happens for electronics, like phones and stuff, happens in China. Because a lot of the rare earth metals and everything, China's a massive depository for all that.
Yeah.
So they have all of the raw materials there in China. So they bring in all of the raw, they manufacture everything there, and out comes your device.
Yeah, and if you look at a map of Shenzhen, all the factories are connected. But everything's connected. So they have pathways to take stuff directly from one factory to another. You know, so they might bring in raw petroleum into one place, and that refines it into, you know, plastic pellets. But then that factory is connected to, you know, 5 factories that require the plastic pellets, and it is the direct shot to it. So there isn't the travel cost associated with it. And that's why they can churn out, you know, 500,000 or probably a couple billion fidget spinners in a week.
Well, there's that, you know, and the labor costs are insanely low because, you know, just put up suicide nets, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But, you know, all morbid joking aside, the labor costs are insanely low, and there isn't multiple factories to run. It's just one giant manufacturing chunk.
At that point, I'm not even sure. It's a manufacturing city, and the whole thing is connected.
Yeah, Shenzhen. It's one of the few places in China that I would like to go visit.
Yeah,
I've been to Hong Kong several times. I want to go back really bad because I absolutely loved Hong Kong. Gorgeous city.
Well,
I want to go back to Hong Kong, and I want to go visit Shenzhen.
Let's make a card, do a show from Hong Kong, and get people to go to our Patreon, support us. You can subscribe for $1 a month or more. And eventually we'll do a show in Hong Kong or Shenzhen. We'll go to Shenzhen. We'll bring you guys some goodies. Maybe we'll get some custom Wonderbury thing made with all your, you know, wonderful contributions.
Solar. I think solar's the way to go. I think right now trying to power your entire home from solar is a little ambitious at the moment and not quite cost effective yet.
Especially
but offsetting,
because we're in the Midwest.
Offsetting some of your power costs might actually be feasible.
Yeah. You know, being in the Midwest, like, we don't get sun all day every day. In fact, being where I'm at, we don't hardly get much sun at all. Grand Rapids is the cloudiest city in the world, and last year, I think maybe even during the winter, it set a record for the longest streak without seeing any sunlight.
Oh, it
was like 10.5 days without the sun, like without us seeing the sun at all. 10.5 straight days.
Sucks.
You know, so I think in the Midwest it's going to have to be a combination of solar and wind.
Yeah.
But
if you have south-facing windows, there's a company called Solar Gap. They're running a Kickstarter campaign. It's still active right now. Anyway,
probably not.
They are.
I added that to the card over a month ago, I think.
They're not Kickstarter. I'm sorry. They're on Indiegogo. Hang on, it's loading. Give me just a second on the tablet. Anyway, what they are is they are solar blind. So you can close your blinds, and they've got solar panels running across them, and you can offset your solar through the solar blind. It integrates with Google Home, Amazon Echo, and the Nest thermometers. It can feed electricity back into your grid, or you can pump it into some sort of a battery system like the Tesla POWWAR. So it looks like that they can generate power right around, if you get a full 10 hours of sun, it'll kick out 1.5 kilowatts per day average, or about 500 kilowatts.
Yeah, and that was
so that's about $88
window.
to $90 of power a year that it'll generate.
Yeah. And that
So
was
you're
just
not going to
one
power
window.
your home on it, but they cost about $400.
Yep. $385 for a 10 square foot panel.
Yep. So they were on, it's over now. They were on Indiegogo. They received 205% of their funds. So looks like they're going to be able to do it. Looks like that they're estimating delivery for the campaign in October, November, December of this year, with retail does not say when they're estimating retail.
No, I'm showing them on Kickstarter.
I found Solar Gaps. They were also on Indiegogo.
Huh. So they double dip, but that's okay. Now I liked the idea of this being geared more for people renting their place. Where it's not, like with us, we rent our house, so us and me wanting to put a Tesla roof on this house would really benefit me very little, because if we move a year, or I'm out that money to have the roof installed. But with the blinds, I could just pop them off and take them with me, and it would, if it feeds into the grid and reduces my cost of rent, like my monthly electric cost, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't know about spending $400 on some blinds. Well, I don't know. I did just spend $90 on a coffee maker purely because it had Wi-Fi. So I can tell my
and the fact
phone
that
to make
then
coffee.
The blinds can integrate right into your Nest, can integrate right into your automation and smart home system. Kind of nice.
Yeah.
And we'd like to talk about smart objects, smart things, having power that can do that. And the fact that you can then pump it into, like the power walls, Tesla's power walls, is really nice.
Yeah. And I gotta say,
are a little on the pricey side, but okay.
Yeah, they'd be worth it. I want to let me the Mr. Coffee and Wemo smart coffee maker is pretty neat. Like,
yeah,
but it, like, you still manually fill it with water. You still manually put the coffee in. You still manually take it out. The smart is only about turning it on. So I can say my.
if I was gonna spend the money on a smart coffee machine, I would have a tap that runs to it, kind of like you do for a fridge that has the water and an ice maker.
Yep.
I would have a bin where you just put raw beans in. It will measure it out, automatically grind them, and then drop them into the machine.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to go all out for an automatic coffee maker, I'm going to have a button that I can push. It says "Make me pot of coffee," and it will make me a pot of coffee.
You just use your hot word and say "make coffee." I mean that's handy because I know that.
Well, you can prep it the night before and have it automatically come out the next morning, but that's not much more than what automatic coffee machines have been doing for years.
Yeah, and it's like having a timer other than I can tell my phone to do it. So, and I've been trying to get it synced up with some different apps. Like I have Sleep as Android on my phone, so I know that detects my sleep cycle and it knows when I wake up because my phone starts moving. So I want to try to get it connected to that. So as soon as Sleep as Android figures out I'm awake, it immediately kicks the coffee maker on. And then it's only 5 minutes, which that's about the time it takes me to get up and stretch and pee, and then my coffee's ready. But yeah, if it did everything else automatically, and all I had to do is put raw beans in, that would be worth a whole heck of a lot more than the $90 I paid for this one. I mean, and even without the smart features on it, it's a good coffee maker.
Well, that's good. I mean, if you got a bad coffee maker with smart features, then you just got a stupid smart coffee maker. But at least it makes good coffee.
Yeah, and it's not great coffee, but it's good coffee, and it's surprising. Like after having a great coffee maker for a while, seeing what the difference is. I went from a great coffee maker to a crappy $20 one, now to this good one. And I've gotten a nice range of them in this last year, so it's been interesting. I'm like, this is like I didn't know I was picky about coffee as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that's about to do it for this week, though, Brian.
Okay.
Thank you guys for tuning in and watching or listening, or however it is you partake of our podcast.
Ka-chow.
We'll see you guys next week.